We are the hub for news, results, and CEO interviews focusing the junior commodities sector. We provide market analysis and perspective that will help position you for solid returns.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Stock Talk. It's a pleasure to catch up with Beyond Lithium again. We've been chatting with them quite a bit this summer because lots been happening, and they promised there'll be a lot happening, and they just came out with some news. And we wanted to ask them like what's happened here, because the stock has done extremely well in the past year, but it did have a bit of a pullback. So we wanted to talk about that, but more importantly about the significance of that last press release. And we're glad to have both Allen Graeme and Allen Lambert on, the founder of the company, as well as the CEO and board of director. So Allen, tell us the significance of what this news release is.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. Nice to be on your show again, too. But thanks for the question. So this is extremely significant to us and to all shareholders. And I'll try to clarify the news that we made to make it a little easier to understand. So this is the first, as far as our exploration program is concerned, this is the first significant change, which is like a gift for us, because our exploration has been going well, but this I would put in the bonus category, because we've actually made a discovery on the Cosgrave Lake property that changes the whole game for us in terms of potential for an exciting and commercial lithium discovery. So like we're really cranked about this thing. I'd like to start off by hitting on a couple of the highlights from the recent announcement, and then I'll give you a couple of comments from our consulting geologist, Graeme Evans, and hopefully that'll make things a little easier to understand. So the headline of our announcement on a bullet point says, we've discovered a new LCT pegmatite intrusive stock, also known as a fertile Pluton. So what's a fertile Pluton? You know, everybody's asking this. So number one, Elaine, by the way, was in the field, and he's on this interview as well, and he'll give you lots more in depth as to the Pluton. But the Pluton itself is 266 hectares in size, which makes it comparable to Pine Portage and the MNW Plutons in the Georgia Lake District, which are significant Plutons. Pluton is sort of the plumbing system that creates all this stuff and makes the discovery of lithium and other rare elements possible. So the size directly implies that it generated large amounts of concentrated fluids and volatiles, and is the source of lithium and rare earth minerals in lithium pegmatite formations in the vicinity. So this is like, you know, you're searching for the treasure and you find the gold coin, you know, so this is really, really exciting for us. We also expanded our properties in the area as a result of that. The results from channel samples on this property, which we're doing already, indicated at 2 barrel pegmatites at the what we now call the AG Pluton, show comparable geochemical values to other known fertile Plutons, have similar cesium, lithium, beryllium values to those of the Tanco fertile Pluton located in Ferny Lake, Manitoba. Now that's significant if you know who Tanco is. You know, yeah. So a quote from Tanco, they've had a commercial operation in Manitoba for over 50 years. It's a world-renowned pegmatite that has been going forever. It's been going for over 50 years in production, one pegmatite. But to compare our recent discovery to that from a potential perspective is pretty darn exciting for us. So enough said on that as far as the bullet points are concerned. I'd like to take a moment to give you a brief quote from Graeme Evans, who is actually the one that discovered the difference and significance between this and all of the other pegmatites that we're also exploring in this and other areas. So Graeme says, the significance of this discovery is this coarse pegmatite-rich intrusive makes it the first new discovery of one of these lithium-bearing vapor-rich late intrusives out of this known camp. Now that's significant to me because there's pegmatites and everybody's exploring them, but they're, you know, these Plutons to the largest degree were discovered many, many decades ago for most people. So this is brand new, you know, and it's on our property, you know, so we're really pumped. Graeme continues to say, the volume of vapor phase in this intrusive stock gives us potential for a lot of lithium outboard of this, and that's a brand new discovery that is as significant as finding new spodumene dikes. because everybody loves to hear spodumene. So that's pretty impressive to hear coming from Graeme Evans, who's a man of great experience. So we're in love with this thing. We're completely excited. It's like waking up and that pony's under the tree, just like you're all hoping for. So it increases our potential for successful exploration very dramatically. And there's more and more to say, but I'll turn it back to you for now.
For sure. Well, and Allen, like you said, was on the property, was there when this was found. And I think getting a perspective, a bit more detail is important. But also, you mentioned before that you guys have both had like one-on-one conversations, or shareholders reach out and talk to you, and when you have a chance to explain to them, this is what's happening, because it's geology, and sometimes these news releases, they're hard to decipher unless someone's a geo. And I get the phone calls too, like, here's a news release, Andrew, is it good? So once you're able to talk to someone and say, this is what this means to us, this is what it looks like as far as the business plan, then people are excited. And that's why you reach out to say, listen, if we can cover a lot of that instead of just one-on-one emails and one-on-one conversations, if we can cover that and walk people through, then it gets to hit a lot more people to see, here's the opportunity. This is a big step up. So Allen, you were there. Walk me through, what this means from your perspective.
Okay, well, thank you, Andrew. Yes, I was on the property when the discovery was made, and this is how it was made. So you'll recall, Andrew, that we are going through phase 1 exploration. So which means we get boots on the ground on every one of our 64 properties. We take samples, we map, we collect a lot of information. And when our crew was at the Cosgrave Lake property, they came across some outcrop which were full of beryl and crystals and some very big ones. So we channel sample a lot of it, and we sent a number of samples to the lab. We got the assays back, and then suddenly that's when guys like Lawrence Sang, our VP exploration, and Graeme Evans, who's a senior geologist, said something's happening there, and we need to go on site, and we need to get familiar with what it is. And basically what, we use the words Pluton, stock, and the best way to summarize it, it's like the big pipe. It's the magma coming up through the cross of the earth to the surface where it crystallizes. And as it gets to the surface, then the mineralization will get through the cracks and disperse away from the Pluton, the stock, or that massive pipe. That's the plumbing that brings all this mineralization to the surface. In that part of the district, these cracks tend to be extending to the northeast, possibly to the northwest, just the way things are shaped over there. So once we have found, call it the major plumbing that brings all of this stuff to the surface, we were very quick to stake more ground in the Cosgrave property to the southwest. Now, what we're going to be doing is we're going to go from the center of this massive system that brought the mineralization to the surface, and we're going to systematically sample and map everything to the southwest, to the northeast. And in short, a lot of our peers, they look for what we call Pegmatite dikes, which are parts of these systems. We believe we got a complete system on our property. And just to finalize my thoughts here, Andrew, you mentioned the reaction to the market, and I think that a lot of retail investors have been conditioned to expect some drilling results or results of lithium on the surface, and that's what they're looking for as an indicator of how well a company is doing. We will get to that. We'll have announcements like this. We're fairly confident of that. But the announcement that we had this week, in my view, in the long term, is much more significant than a grab sample somewhere that has some lithium in it.
Yeah, that brings up an important kind of point from an investor's or a mindset point of view from investors. Are you here to trade the stock and in anticipation of news, good or bad, or are you here as a kind of business builder looking long term? So it was good to have you on too, because the stock had pulled back. And if someone was just looking at a stock, they go, oh, it must be bad news. Like people are selling. As I want to know, you got to it's a very tough market right now in mining and in junior mining, and you can't fault someone who's done very well in the stock to take a bit off the table when there's good news. Doesn't mean they're exiting the position, but you guys have a lot of volume for a junior, which makes it very attractive for those who do want to trade. So I wanted to have it come on to kind of, not to talk about the stock price, because that it isn't necessarily relevant as far as I'm concerned. It's to say, as far as the business goes and as far as the long-term prospects, there's a divergence right now between it pulling back in the market, and it's not a reflection of this not being a good release. It may just be simply an opportunity to trade, to take some money off the table, and when we're in a very, very tough overall market.
Yes, you're right. I think the one takeaway that I really am impressed with, this company has 28 million shares, but it trades like a champion, really, whether it's trading up or down. We've exhibited really good trading conditions. The volume is great. People don't have to worry about if they buy 100,000 shares, do they need an appointment to sell 10,000 a month for the next 10 months? This stock trades really well. So I'm pretty impressed with that. And the market is made up of all types of individuals. Some of them are short-term trading, and that's their gig. That's what they do, and good to them, power to them. I think the big money is always made by the builders and the guys that have, a little more longevity. But this stock is presenting a little bit of something for everybody. And, I'm happy that we've created a vehicle that does that. It makes people happy. If there's several 100,000 shares being traded, we've got lots of eyes on us. So we must be doing something that they like. Even the sellers, the sellers are welcome too. Buy stock, you're welcome to sell it. You want to make a ton? Hang on, baby. This thing's going to go.
It's important to point that out. Is some people just have set goals, like certain funds have. Like, if we make 20%, we sell. Like, it's just their mission statement. So, and you need them, and to have a high volume stock that's trading, that's getting a lot of eyes on a tight float in a really, really terrible market, that does say a lot. I think it's important to have this kind of overall perspective, but more importantly was to talk to you guys, to talk about specifically what this means from a geological point of view, and that it is a huge step forward as far as the overall thesis. And perhaps there's an opportunity for people to look at now.
100%. I know I'm kind of hogging the conversation from Elaine here, but I must give credit to our field crew. They're exceptional. And I think the announcements we've been able to make recently as a result of their hard work, both in the office and on the field, is exemplary. I think shareholders can be confident that they've got a really, really skilled, interested group of people looking after their well-being in the field, and they're doing the best to their ability to generate profits and economic resources. So we're lucky. Without them, this company wouldn't be half of what it is. It might be an interesting company anyway, but these guys in the field are awesome. And my hat's off to all of them, every one of them. They're working their heads off.
Well, I want to thank you both for giving us the update. I think we'll give Allen the final and last word.
Well, I would agree with Allen about the team, and I have the pleasure and the luxury to spend a lot of time with the technical team on the ground. We were at Cosgrave for an entire day, and listening to these people talk. It's very comforting, because I always say, mining is no different than any other business. It's with the people. You can have a great team that can make a marginal deposit a success, just like you can have people are not so competent ruin a good deposit. And so we're I think we have the best of both worlds. We've got large opportunities, as demonstrated by the Cosgrave discovery and other positive things that we see in the field that hopefully we'll be talking about. And we also have a talented team. So thank you, Andrew, for having us and giving us an opportunity to share our thoughts following this very important discovery at Cosgrave Lake.